Now tuning in to Earbud Media. Audio for everyone.
Doing this, it's like we never left. You know what I mean? It's like I slept at the student.
Right. Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain here is that we're recording things a little bit more back to back, just for a little bit.
It's actually just for the content of the show, because we're talking about an episode that's on a full moon, and we wanted to do this on a full moon. We wanted to match their freak.
We wanted to match their freak specifically, yeah.
That's why, for no other reason. So
we're a little loosey-goosey. No other reason, no scheduling things. Just to vibe with the moon.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful.
It's just because we care about continuity. That's why.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair. We wanted to just be in touch.
Exactly.
With the spirit of the moon. Yeah.
I mean, that's our whole that's the whole thing. That's really about this show, right? Into the Twilight is really just about respecting the moon, if you really think about it.
That's so true. Above anything else, if you take nothing else from this podcast, is you've got to be respectful.
Exactly.
And love her and worship her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's going to be, I can already tell. Just buckle in. There's going to be some energy here. I can just feel it. Yeah. I can feel it in my bones. How are you?
I'm here. I'm living. My happy thing this week, and this is kind of a larger theme, like I think I've brought up a couple of things this year that are in this vein of like buying things to heal my inner child energy.
Yeah.
And one of those, incredibly important to me, is I had an incredibly thrilling eBay auction.
I'm so glad that you're finally talking about this.
I know. I had to sit on it, okay? I had to, like, give my review, because I did buy myself, an adult man, a Game Boy Advance SP to heal my inner child. Because my old one I think she's gone. I don't know where she is. And that's okay. Because I found one. I found one at a reasonable, not annoying price, and I fucking locked in so heavily.
I could have never guessed that was going to be the like follow-up tweet to that. And it was so much better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, I gotta keep you on your toes, you know? And it's like brat color, which I really appreciate. And now I'm in the process of just rebuying as many games as I can remember having.
Right.
Most notably Pokemon Ruby, because obviously.
Yeah.
And so I have Bratz games en route. That's huge for me. I'm super excited about that. I got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Oh my god, yes!
I'm very not good at that game. That game is fucking hard. I don't know how any of the buttons work. This is my life now. I am relearning how I'm learning very quickly how much gaming has improved, because, you know, there are some things about this console that are silly and wonderful, but I love that it's just a little guy.
Yes.
And I can bring him wherever, and it's just it's one thing. You just put one game in it, and that's the game you play, because it has no menu, it has no like, there's nothing else you can do in it outside of the thing that is inside of it. And I love that. I want more single use. This is my little Pokemon machine.
This is the thing where, like, a lot of people talk about the critiques of, like, iPad kids and stuff. Sure. If you're gonna get, and this is coming from someone with no kids, so, like, take it with a grain of salt or whatever. But,
sure.
like, if you're gonna get stuff for kids, I think it should be this kind of technology. Because you know that they can't lock into your app store and buy shit on your credit card. And it's really zoned in. And, like, I distinctly remember having a Game Boy Color that my parents got me, but they didn't understand anything about technology, right? So I had a Game Boy Color. I had, like, one game. I had a really cute carrying case for it that was, like, crossbody. But they didn't know enough about it that, like, I didn't get the attachable light for it.
Oh, sure.
So I could only play it in daylight, which turns out, right, isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, right.
Right? So, like, which also, by the way, you know, kids these days don't understand we didn't have backlit technology.
Right, yeah.
But, like, that isn't the worst thing of, like, you play one game.
Yeah.
You learn the, like, motor skills on it, but you're not tapped into internet. There are very specific ones back then that you were able to do multiplayer on, but you get to explore stuff, and it's not, you know, you get some positive things about gaming, which are really healthy, but you don't get the negative stuff that we see now.
My brain feels very good. It feels very good for my brain.
If you can find it, there was a Rugrats game that I had that was like Angelica doing some sort of like dressing up kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't remember. I just remember having a goddamn blast with it.
Yeah.
But I bet it's like
Hell yeah.
$3,000 now.
How are you doing, my friend? I see we have a very familiar...
So it's not what you think. It's not what you think.
Okay.
It's not what you think. I'm doing okay. I brought something that genuinely made me laugh this week, which is Carla Hall, who is an incredibly famous, amazing, known for Top Chef. I know her a lot from Food Network because she does a lot of the like Halloween specials and stuff. I saw her this week on TikTok because she posted this really fucking funny throwback from 2018. Yes, 2018. Mm-hmm. Just out of nowhere, Miss Ma'am posted this throwback from her at the 2018 James Beard Awards Gala, where she just absolutely fucking beefed it when going up to accept this award. And it made me really laugh. I want to preface this by saying that she is totally fine. This was years ago. She's great. But if you know anything about Carla Hall, she's hilarious. In addition to being absolutely talented, she's fucking funny. And she posted this on TikTok. She falls for about 7 minutes in this TikTok. And I love it so much because not only is she fine and it's an objectively funny video, but it just reminded me that a lot of people would take this moment and just surrender and be really embarrassed by it. And she just completely owned it and didn't take it seriously. And that is why I love Carla Hall.
Yeah.
She, I guess, addressed it back in 2018 when it happened on a podcast where she said, when I felt that I was going down, she said, I may be 54, but you need to fall like a 2-year-old. I was like, engage the core and just go down. Because she was wearing this like really beautiful blue pantsuit. And part of her pantsuit got caught on her shoes. And she just, again, cannot emphasize enough, just falls for forever. And Cody was laughing because the image that I posted in our notes was from the Parks and Rec ice moment.
Famously iconic.
Just
falls
falling
of history.
Falling for forever.
God.
And so if you get a chance, go to Carla Hall's TikTok and watch it because she is, again, years ago, she posted it, made fun of herself. And I love it because I think that it is a good reminder for myself to just be like, it's not that serious. Like, it's not that serious.
Right.
And she was fine, right? It'd have been a different situation if she was, like, not fine in that moment. But it just genuinely made me laugh. And I love her.
That's so good. Yeah. God, what an icon.
She's so great. I've watched it a couple of times since I originally saw it, and I appreciate her immensely.
Yeah.
So thank you, Carla, for giving me a good laugh.
Service.
You've brought me a lot of joy since I originally saw you on Top Chef, mostly the Halloween specials that you do on Food Network. But this was, it was just so good. Okay, really quick piece of current events. This is mainly just a preview for us because we have not gotten to this character yet.
Yeah. So we're about to, get a little tea.
Yeah, this is mainly to watch out for. But the news did come out this week. It's from Online, specifically from Leah DeGrazia. Thank you. Who, this is about Tori DeVito from the Vampire Diaries, who again we have not gotten to yet, said that she quit the show due to divorcing Paul Wesley.
Tea. Okay.
Okay. Apparently earlier this month, she was on Rachel Bilson's podcast. I didn't know Rachel Bilson had a podcast, so sure. But apparently Tori was on the Vampire Diaries, then got divorced with Paul after less than 2 years of being married. And then was like, listen, I can't. I want to try and be professional, but I can't do this, so I don't want to come back, actually.
Which, honestly, protect your peace.
Exactly.
And her being in there being like, I don't care about a chick that much. To, hang out on set with my ex-husband.
Right.
I could do literally anything else. And I love that.
Yeah. I had to look her up. I do remember her more from Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
But we have not gotten to her character yet in the Vampire Diaries. I initially, when I saw her face, I was like, oh shit, is that Andy? It's not Andy. We will have to explore later on. I will say, there are some pieces of little, factoids about the Vampire Diaries in this article that I think are very confusing and wild.
Yeah.
Mainly, I will point to number 3, which confuses me because apparently in the books, which we don't talk about because we have not read them.
Yeah.
In the books, Jeremy was not Jeremy. He was not a teen brother. It was a 4-year-old sister named Margaret. And I have about 16 different questions because what do you mean?
What do you mean?
I feel like that changes the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a different thing. So, what?
And also, they say here that Caroline, in the show, who is a close friend, in the books is her enemy, which feels gayer somehow.
Sure.
Also, I am looking at this box set that they have here. That looks like 13 books.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, that's 13 at the end there. That's also, why are 5 and 6 so thick?
I don't know.
All these books are tiny little guys, and then 5 and 6 whop in here hello, it's Twilight size. What?
I'm always afraid to look up book to show differences because of spoilers.
Yeah.
But they did just kind of sneak this one in on here. That Jeremy one is going to haunt me for forever, though.
Yeah, that really adds an undertone to this that I don't love.
I hate it. I hate it a lot, actually. Okay, so last week we found out Klaus is a hybrid. Sure. Okay.
That's allowed, I guess.
Because that's a thing. Jenna...
when a vampire and a werewolf really love each other.
And they're married, so it's not a sin.
It's blessed by the Lord.
It's blessed. Also, Jenna knows now because
yeah.
because that's a thing. Also, I didn't fully grasp this in Klaus's episode, but it did become more clear in this episode of The Last Day. Klaus wants to trigger the part of him that's a werewolf during this ceremony.
Yeah.
And the sun and moon curse is not fake per se, but the curse is just placed on Klaus.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Okay, fine. Cool. Great. So he'll be a real boy. He'll be a true hybrid if he breaks the curse.
Yeah. He'll be properly both vampire plus werewolf plus everything.
Yeah.
God?
God.
Who knows?
Probably. Yeah.
Probably that's where we'll end up. Yeah.
Yeah. And we did dog on Elena last episode because she was like, we're fine. Bonnie can die. I don't give a fuck anymore. But in this episode, which seemingly is a day later, right? She's now no longer fine with it anymore.
Yeah, full reversal back to what her original stance was, but she did have a little lapse of judgment.
She just was in a silly, goofy mood last week.
Yeah, she was just thinking hypothetically, you know?
Right. Just considering scenarios.
Yeah, although Damon this episode is very much like, who needs her?
He is
She's
in
fine.
true sicko mode this episode.
Yeah, he's on some freak shit. And listen, following last episode where he had a very intense conversation with Stefan,
He was due for it.
Like, yeah, he was due for a little bit of a breakdown, because if your brother looked you in the eye and was like, you know, thank you for being in love with my girlfriend, I would probably have a lot of emotional stuff I would need to work through.
Right.
In very public, dramatic ways. So, you know, that's just where he's at right now.
Listen, I think of Damon a lot like a volcano.
Yes.
Mostly because the fact that he does not process his emotions well. Which is interesting, right? Because we say that a lot about Stefan. But Damon has been trying to pretend that he's totally fine and, like, nothing's wrong for a while. This episode, he is in full sicko volcano mode. And was like, I'm tired of pretending that everything's fine.
Right. I just want to go ape shit
And
now.
And he do be doing that. Yeah.
He do be doing that. Oh my gosh.
I How are you feeling?
I have so many questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of like transitions happening right now, right?
Correct.
And so I'm like, where I see the, you know, the chess pieces being laid out, but there's a lot of different ways this can go.
Correct.
As far as the big thing.
Yes.
Right. In the beginning too, we get some like Elijah's bringing a lot of like lore. I think they're retconning a lot of stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, for sure. Of, you know, even last episode, but now he officially brought it out this time, of being like, I have this fancy elixir that can revive people.
He
and
loves
it'll
to
be
bury
good.
the lead. This man.
He loves to just be like, oh, I've just had this in my pocket. It's like, Elisha. How about we start with that, right? Before we do all this, like, ooh, hypothetical, let's kill everyone, right? But I do love, too, that Damon was like, respectfully, this is just a magical elixir that has no expiration date that you've had for 150 years, and it's totally gonna work, and we just gotta trust you on that. Interesting.
Stefan,
Seems
weirdly,
risky. Yeah.
I didn't hate him this episode.
Yeah.
And that's surprising.
Yeah.
Because usually just his very existence pisses me off. I didn't mind him this episode. And that's surprising.
And he seemed very like, he's like, listen, Elena's gonna have she's having her thing right now. You know, let's just let her cook. I'm not gonna get in the middle of it anymore because she's gonna do whatever she's gonna do. And honestly, more men should take notes.
I agree.
Even if your girlfriend has a death wish.
Sometimes you just need to let your girlfriend go on a walk. Sometimes you just need to take your girlfriend on a walk, right? Let her get her zoomies out and process. Yeah. And somehow he understood that. So good on him.
He understood the assignment, for sure.
Right. He said, oh, you don't want to talk, Elena? Okay, well, let's just go on a walk and see what happens. Okay.
Yeah, let's just take a couple laps. All right? Let's just do it that way.
Yeah, Elena, take a lap. I agree with you on the retconning this episode. I think that if there was a retcon counter this episode, I would say that very similar to the wildfire alerts, we're at peak retconning. Yeah. Because there was a moment very early on in this episode where they said the ring, like John's ring, TM, wouldn't work on Elena.
Right, yeah.
Because
that
she
was
is
wild.
She is a, quote, supernatural occurrence.
That's... Sorry. Like, okay, I get that there is, like, a supernatural component to, like, whatever is happening, but it's also, like, they're just doppelgangers, right? Like, it is not, like, they say it is, like, a big bad, but it's also, like, not the same as, like, a cryptid, right? Like, we can't be saying that doppelgangers are, like, the same, like, supernatural weight as, like, a vampire or a werewolf.
Right.
There's no shot. What? A supernatural occurrence? I was dying. I was just like, oh yeah, this fucking stupid ass ring won't work. Because you're technically already a supernatural creature and it only works on humans. What are you talking about? What? What do you mean?
It gave me the same feeling as when people say female.
Yeah.
It was like, why is what you just said, why did it come out in italics? I hate that.
Yeah. It had, like, sparkle emojis.
No,
like, what
literally.
Do you mean? What? What?
I hated
Where
it.
is this oomph coming from? We're just making shit up right now. What do you mean?
It,
She's been a human the whole time. She also has a doppelganger.
right.
That does not negate her humanness. I would have assumed, maybe foolishly of me, but...
And why is this coming out now?
Yeah.
Why are we just finding this out right now?
Right. It's like, oh, we all know that she technically wasn't human this whole time. No?
No.
No, we did not. What do you mean?
We did not
What?
know this. We did not know this. No. I also...
Absolutely bonkers.
This happens to two Gilberts this episode.
Yeah.
And this has been made clear in this show's canon, that being fed a vampire's blood does not a vampire make. There are components to becoming a vampire. So I understand why Elena is pissed with what Damon did.
Yeah. At Damon just, like, force-feeding his blood to her.
Yeah, because that's not what she wanted, and she makes that explicitly clear. Like, we knew that, but, like, she makes that clear this episode. And also it ruins a couple of their, like, backup plans. But also, that does not mean that she is a vampire.
Right.
That's not... Girl, you gotta feed. And also, you didn't die. So...
Right. Yeah. Like, if you die at the sacrifice, that's a different story. But right now, you're just chilling. You just got a little vampire blood in your system. You're good, girly.
Now, Jenna, a lot closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are about 2 steps in that process that she has already completed. If Miss Ma'am feeds, we have a different situation on our hands. But it's not like Damon took all of those steps for her and left her there.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I'm not happy with it.
Right.
But I feel like she did jump the gun of, like, I'm a vampire. And it's like, no, girl.
Yeah. It's like, hold on. Let's slowly roll.
That is not how this process works. But I am curious what is going to happen in the sacrifice TM with Elena now that she's not... I mean, she wasn't human before, right? 'Cause she's a supernatural occurrence. But her blood now is not just human blood.
Yeah.
So Klaus will be in for a surprise, I guess. Can I also say, I'm curious about your opinions on this now that we've had, like, 2 episodes. I miss Rick as Klaus.
Yeah. He really brought a certain flavor. Klaus really got something out of Rick that I really appreciated. And I think he should have just been, like, Weekend at Bernie's in his whole body this entire time. Just for the rest of his life. Like, I know he wants his own corporeal form.
Yeah.
But boring. Whatever. But, like, you could just... I want more history teacher hijinks. I want him being like, oh man, remember the moon landing? That was totally real, right? Like, I want those moments from him really bad. And the fact that they're depriving of this is fucked up. It's sick and twisted.
And I'm ready to be proven wrong, but right now, this Klaus feels very, like, young and petulant.
Yeah.
which is funny, right? Because he's supposed to be like 1,000 years old.
Right.
But compared to Rick, especially when we see them at the grill, he just looks and acts young.
Yeah, he looks very, like, baby.
He does. Yeah.
Which, like, okay, eternal youth, whatever. But also, I'm not getting, you know, the vibe. And also now we get Rick back. We get regular Rick back.
Regular Rick who doesn't remember anything and also had Jenna with a crossbow.
Yeah.
Pointed at him.
Right. Yeah.
He was, I mean, and I guess this is just Rick, right? Because he's been dealing with this shit for a while. He was just weirdly chill about the whole situation.
Yeah, and like him and Jenna too, like kind of made up pretty easily. It's just like, oh yeah, crazy stuff. It's like, okay.
And I guess it's more of the fact of like, this isn't really about us right now. We have other shit to deal with.
Yeah.
But knowing Jenna, I was expecting her to make more of this about her in the moment, and she didn't, which I was surprised by. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a small amount of growth. I'll take that. Mm-hmm. I was surprised to see Tyler back.
Dude. And the way they bring him back is the most fucked up shit I've ever seen.
They did him pretty dirty.
They did him so dirty. Klaus's cronies or whatever are like, they're doing some work in this episode, right? They're you know, sneaking behind cars. They're in hallways, fucking compelling and mind controlling people like it's nobody's business. They're doing wild stuff. And they got Tyler's mom, who is perfectly fine in this moment, just wistfully on the phone, sobbing, be like, I had such a terrible fall. You need to come get me. I don't want to, you know, bother you, but I'm in the hospital. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Oh my God. And then she hangs up the phone and she's like, wait, why did I say that? And this dude is like, oh, because you're going to have a really bad fall, and throws her off of the banister in the most fucked up, like the way her body moves. I was like gasping for air.
She should not have survived that.
That was wild. It looked like she was for sure a goner. Right. Like, that was brutal how she landed.
And then she's just in the hospital with like a broken wrist, supposedly.
Yeah, she's like, ouchie. It's like your whole body got like totally pummeled off the stairs. What? With a quickness.
Right.
Yeah, so that was fucked up.
Oh, damn.
And also like Tyler's conversation, because Tyler's also there with
fucking Jules,
head werewolf lady, and she's like, all right, bitch, you can only stay with your mom for like 2 seconds because we gotta hunker down. It's full moon time, baby. We're not slacking here.
You know, Jules was pissed about the timing of this.
I know. Everything is like, she's like, God, I want just like one thing to go my way in this. Like, fuck.
Something that
I want to
Tyler
have my cool
has no control over. You know, she was blaming him for. Of like, this is
like,
the
God
full
damn,
moon.
he's always getting in my way to have my vampire coven clan rule the world or whatever.
Yes.
And poor Caroline is going to check in on Tyler's mom at the hospital. And it's like, oh, hey, bestie. Remember when you just left me and said nothing? That was cool.
Dude.
It was fucked up. Her being like, oh, I guess the apology was left in the mail or something. Or lost in the mail. As well as the goodbye. I was like, damn. Get his ass. Fuck that dude. And Jules, too, being like, only a minute. You guys just chat. And we're leaving. It's like, alright. Let her cook.
That part was so bad. And then when we see them again after Maddox and Greta inject them with some sort of sedative and they're in the tomb and she straight up asks Tyler, why did you leave me? I can't. It's like both of you have abandonment issues. Mm-hmm. And I fully thought that he was gonna tell her, like, I was at your door, I knocked on your, like, I fully thought that he was gonna tell her, and he was like, he didn't do it. It was so nasty.
Oh my god. Also, what was nasty is this continued Matt and Caroline's mom plotline.
God, I'm so
it's
done.
breaking my fucking heart. And especially this time because Matt is being like, hey, I'm like doing this thing for you, whatever, but like I don't think she's the real problem here. Like, she's not a threat. So I think we should probably focus our energy to, like, Damon or any other vampire that we know of that's here. And also, I don't really know what is going on right now. I'm just confused, and you're like your errand boy right now. And this motherfucker, she is like, oh, you know, I know what you're saying. It's very, like, confusing or whatever. And also, I shouldn't have involved you into this, but when I see her, I still see my daughter. And that is the fucking, like, absolute opposite parallel of when this happened the first time before her memory got wiped.
Yeah.
And being like, I see you as a monster, I don't see you as my daughter.
And...
like, what the fuck?
The sentence before was, they're monsters, Matt.
Right.
So it's like, and I know that, like, you know, a lot of characters in the show are holding two truths at once, right? But she is like, first of all, the sheriff is not at work, is at the grill. Like,
she's almost always at the grill.
Like,
there's no one doing their jobs.
Not that I believe that you have, like, a valuable job in this town, because you're not solving the crimes in this fictional town, but, like, go do your job. But she's like, they're monsters, and also, right, I look at her and I see my daughter, so it's like, like,
I hate it here.
So for him to go to in that moment with Damon and Maddox having the wooden bullets, and Damon being like, what the fuck? Why do you have wooden bullets?
It's like, oh, I forgot you were even a person.
Right, exactly.
Interesting. Should I be concerned?
I was fully prepared to not die when you shot me. What the fuck? I didn't think you were... why did you just try to shoot a witch? What?
Yeah. Did not know you had that dog in you. Okay.
God. I also thought it was super interesting that Caroline knew all of the details about the sun and the moon curse being fake that she was passing on to Tyler. So, like, what is this group chat that they have?
Right. Who's getting the info? Yeah, where's this intel coming from?
Why are they...
Who's gossiping?
They're communicating really fast when it's helpful for them, but not all the time. So now I'm confused. The demon in this episode... I love this man so much. It hurts me. He has been on a mission because he knows that he can't save Elena. So now it is very clear that he is on a mission to end himself. If he can ruin Klaus's plans. I was not expecting him to unlock both Caroline and Tyler in this moment.
Yeah.
Because, especially since it seemed like they were both going from this location to a different location together, that seems like you're not... Is that not just playing into Klaus's hand more?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, shouldn't you be going in, like, opposite directions if you really wanted to mess with his plan a little bit? But, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. What bothers me, and this is more of a Salvatore problem, if this man is 1,000 years old, and he's been planning this for 500 of those 1,000 years, why did this man, Damon, love of my life, not stop and think, oh, he probably has some fail-safes in this? Why did it take until the end of the episode for Klaus to say, of course I have backups?
Right, of course I got. You thought I just had one group of vampire, werewolf, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Listen, these fools never can conceive in their head that anyone has a backup plan. They're like, oh, we just gotta stop the plan, right? And then we did it. Good job, everyone.
They've never heard of a plan B.
Always a plan B. This happened with Catherine. This happened with Klaus. This happened with every person that's ever made a plan that they've done not a great job at trying to stop. At what point do we realize most people who make plans and have been planning on these for hundreds of years probably don't just have the one plan? Right?
Right.
That just seems reasonable to assume,
right.
You know? But who am I? You know? I'm not a vampire who just has infinite capacity to, I don't know, think about things or study.
It just feels like the
curious.
Obvious answer, right? If you see that Maddox and Greta travel together as part of Klaus's posse, if you know that werewolves travel in packs, and you've seen here in Mystic Falls alone that werewolves travel together, why would you assume that you would only have one of each and that will naturally work?
Currently in this town, there are already multiples of the things that they need.
Yep.
Plus the capacity and ability to make more if they need, if they so need to. Like, this is an infinitely generating. They could just keep doing this. The night is young. You know what I mean? Like, they could just keep making new folks. Like, that's easy. Everything's in place. What are you talking about?
Oh,
Fools. Fools.
I know that it's because he's so lost in the sauce of his, like, grief and panic in this moment.
Sure. He's going through it.
But it just hurts that he's not pausing to communicate or think through these options. And that in the process of trying to get Matt and Caroline out, homeboy gets bit by Tyler.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
Because that's endgame.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Hasn't he gone through enough?
Right. Because as much as Damon loves to, like, push to the limits, he says that he does not care about his life. We know that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We know that's aggressively not true.
Yeah. We've seen it happen. He's personally seen it happen very recently.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. It doesn't end well.
God. Speaking of which, this was like a really quick moment at the end, but how did you feel about Luca's sister saying that she wasn't lost?
Yeah. That was, I'm very interested in her whole...
I need more about her.
Yeah. I'm very fascinated.
Because that was up until this moment, it was under the assumption that she was not there by choice, that she was, like, taken.
Right, yeah.
And it could be, like, a Stockholm thing.
Yeah, true.
But it came off very, like, no, I'm down for the cause.
Right. Like, I got bigger plans here. Interesting.
I need more about her.
Yeah.
This is so embarrassing. I cried when Elena broke down at the top of the hill.
Yeah. Nina Dobrev was putting in the work.
Rent was due.
She was in it. She was locked in.
I think that is something that I think I really appreciate about Elena's character that is so different from other vampire literature that we have discussed. She doesn't want it. She does not want immortality. And I think that that's a very interesting character choice.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to have to process that right now, thinking that it's been taken from her, and she's like, no, fuck this, I'm 17. Like, I don't want to have to make all of these decisions. I thought Nina did a really good job in that moment.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. So thank you, Nina, for making me care about Elena in this moment. Because I didn't... if it was anyone else or just Stefan, I would not have cared.
Yeah.
But I cared about that moment, and I cared about her saying goodbye. Not because of the relationship between Elena and Stefan, but because of Nina's acting.
Yeah, she did some incredible stuff.
Yeah. I also thought it was
My heart.
it was just so good. Here's what I'm confused about. Do you think is Jenna going to get more interesting if she actually turns?
God, I hope so, right? We can only hope.
Right?
Because, listen, hey, it worked for Caroline. Obviously, Caroline had more going for her in general.
Right.
But she was kind of like, eternal pawn. And in some cases still is in things. But at least had, like, an arc that is still compelling and interesting. So maybe, and listen, Jenna maybe has to work a little bit harder to get... to a point like that, but it might help push her over the edge of interest.
Yeah, that's true. And she wouldn't be used as a pawn against Elena anymore.
Right.
Which would be nice.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be inviting vampires into the home anymore. So that would be nice.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Maybe we can learn a little bit more about safety.
Yeah.
Preservation tactics here.
It might help her be a more effective guardian, just seeing that she did not ask about Jeremy this entire episode. Mm-hmm. So, like, where's your pseudo-son, ma'am?
Yeah, where's your boy?
Why have you been seemingly staying at the Salvatore house this entire time? Like, where's your nephew, you know?
Yeah.
I know he's fine, because he's with Bonnie, but, like, why aren't you concerned, you know?
Yeah, do you know that?
Do you, right, exactly, do you know that? I left the end of this episode scared for all parties involved.
Yeah, it's not looking great for anyone?
No.
Question mark. It's pretty bleak over here.
Which would have been enough on its own, right? Like, the current Klaus is... The way that this actor is portraying him is, like, really petulant. The way that he made Catherine, like, stand in the sunlight, he gives off a really, like, young vibe that I just wasn't getting with Alaric.
Yeah.
And so I'm very scared with how this sacrifice is going to go. I was already feeling that. And then to look at the next episode and see that it has a Hemingway title makes you want to go sit in the street.
Right.
Because what do you mean? What do you mean it's titled The Sun Also Rises?
Get out of here.
You mean...
Absolutely not.
You mean The Sun Also Rises, the one that is so overtly about love and death? The Sun Also Rises?
That one?
That one?
Cool.
I will also say, when I looked up information, like trivia about this episode, it was the least watched from season 2.
Interesting.
It had 2.68 viewers, so it was like the least amount of viewers from season 2, which is wild because it's so sad.
Yeah.
And you need a lot of this context to go into the next 2 episodes, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous. For next episode. I'm very scared. But we have some amazing patrons to thank. Do you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Thank you to Sean Salvatore.
Ooh, thank you. To Megan Pattinson.
Pew pew. Thank you to Katya Carr.
Ooh, thank you. To Ashlyn Vogel.
Ow. Thank you to Genevieve Morgan.
Ooh, thank you. To Danielle Burke.
Ow. Thank you to Janae Bennett.
Ooh, thank you. To Sophia Salinger.
Ow. Thank you to Dan Zeklos.
Ooh, and last but certainly not least, thank you to Emily Ozera.
Pew, pew, pew.
So I wanted to bring something light today. This is a fan fiction by the author Bad Boy _ Fangirl. I did not read that ahead of time. It is titled Nesting. And the summary is Elena has some redecorating ideas for the boarding house. And there's only one chapter. Elena's kneeling on the floor, taping off the baseboards, and it's obvious she's planning on repainting the room. So Damon doesn't ask, "What are you doing?" since he can tell. Instead, he asks, "What color?" She jerks around, screaming a little in surprise. She smiles when she sees it's him and runs over to grab his arm and pull him inside the room. "Yellow," she says, gesturing at the dark walls. "That'll take a few coats," he murmurs, looking around. "I know, I bought 4 gallons, she says, pointing to the corner where the buckets of paint sit. She's got 2 rollers and 2 trays, but no Stefan to be seen. "You need any help?" he says, before he can stop himself. "What?" Her smile would make a lesser man do anything. He's just helping with some painting. They agree to change into old clothes that they can get paint all over if need be, and they reconvene about 10 minutes later. Damon helps her pour the paint carefully, though they've spread plastic out on the floor to protect the hardwood as well. It's hours later, and Elena has paint in her hair and across her forehead, and Damon's basically had the best time ever because there hasn't been any mention of death or sacrifices or probable tragic outcomes. Elena's talked his ear off about wallpaper and why she went with paint and how she wants to redecorate various rooms in the house, and he thinks of telling her that her ownership is really just in name only and she shouldn't have such lofty goals. End scene.
Okay.
I mean, her name is on the paperwork, so...
Right. So I think, and the jurisdiction does land there, I think.
Just the idea of him going with it and not saying no, I think is kind of beautiful to me.
Yeah. I would like more like inserts like this. Just folded in,
Yeah. I know they won't do it, but I do like to imagine that it happens.
Just as a treat. I think we deserve it.
I want to see more of this house. That's all.
Yeah. I want the interiors. I want the architectural digest.
Yeah, I've seen enough of the layouts of the Sex and the City apartments and the Friends apartment. Yeah. Give me the details of this house.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Well, friends, we are nearing the end of season 2, so now is a great time to catch up on the show and these episodes. Tell your friends. And as we say here in the Pacific Northwest,
get this.
Ooh.
Get this.
Ooh.
Into the Twilight is an Earbud Media production. You can follow us on Twitter at Into the Twilight or on TikTok at Into the Twilight Show. You can find me at Cody Corral on Twitter and Allie at Alexandria Does. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Into the Twilight. We have merch, so much stuff. All those links are in the episode description. And make sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast hosting platform. It really helps the show. Thanks. Bye.
You've been listening to Earbud Media Production. Earbud Media, audio for everyone.